Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the tavern. Today, we are taking a look at another build from 3D6 on Reddit. This person, let me get this name right, drogaswaves, I guess, has a post asking about best items and feats for a level 20 Echo Knight. And they have a one legendary, one very rare, and one rare item. And what's the best way they can optimize the build? They're thinking belts of Storm Giant Strength for the huge strength bonus, +3 glaive, and maybe a +1 plate. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at feats and play around with it some. This person says they can only take 4 feats. That seems incorrect because you are playing a fighter. Echo Knights, as fighters, have more than that. So let's go through it. So class, and I believe they said at 15 feet because Bugbear. So they're considering Bugbear as the class. So let's build a Bugbear, and then let's build a second one to see if we can find a better option other than the Bugbear as a go-to choice. So we're going to go with Bugbear first. So we have +2 strength, +1 dex. Building everything in D&D Beyond. Age, alignment, size, 6 to 8 feet. Speed, 30 feet. Dark vision, 60 feet. Great. Long limb. So when you make a melee attack on your turn, so keep in mind, opportunity attacks do not trigger this. So the Polearm Master shenanigans, it's 10 feet when it's not your turn. So that's something to keep in mind. Powerful build, extra carrying, sneaky, get a free proficiency, surprise attack, surprise creature and hit it first turn in combat, extra 2d6. We might get this every now and then. That's it. Language is Goblin. All right, class. Right off the bat, let's go into fighter, and we are going to jump all the way up to 20 right away, and we can just go through everything. Let's go with abilities first before we start working on the fighter more. So point by. Looks like we're going with strength, and we will have better options as strength weapons as opposed to dex weapons. So, and we'll have access to more damaging weapons. So strength 15, dex, we're probably not going to use dex much at all. We'll put our constitution up to 14. There we go. And then we're going to kick our wisdom up. Our wisdom's going to be our third most important score here. Dex, we can wear heavy armor as a fighter, so we don't need it. The reason we pick wisdom as our last one is it's one of the most common saving throws. We're also going to kick our charisma up to 12, and that's going to be our point by. The reason that we do wisdom and charisma is wisdom is the most common saves, like hold person, hold monster, dominate. Those are wisdom saves. Charisma saves are absolutely debilitating if we get affected. Sometimes charm effects will be wisdom or charisma, but things like banishment and other effects of that sort will target our charisma. There are not very many intelligence saves in the game, and intelligence is so uncommon as a save that we need to have that we're not worried about it. We will have uses of Indomitable to be able to help out with that. Dexterity, like I said, we can safely dump it, and then strength and con, they're going to be our core things right there. So we never have to look at wisdom or charisma again. You could reverse these, but I think the wisdom's more important because of passive perception. Now we have automatically a 12 passive perception. It helps us out a little bit in being able to spot enemies that are hiding from us or potentially invisible because we do not have access to spellcasting. All right, let's start getting into it and jump back to the class real quick. And while we're at it, let us open up the class fighter. Here we are. All right, class features. We'll go to the chart real quick. We get action surge. We'll have 2 uses at the end of it. We have our archetype ability score improvement at 4th, 6th, 8th, 12th, 14th, 16th, and 19th. So we have quite a lot of ability score improvements, and it sounds like being able to replace by feats. We will eventually have 4 attacks per turn, 3 uses of Indomitable, 2 action surges, quite a lot of martial archetypes as well. So let's jump to the archetype. We have our Echo Knight. We'll come back to the Manifest Echo. We have Unleash Incarnation, makes the Echo more powerful. Whenever you take the attack action, you get 1 free attack. And that's the attack action, one additional one from the thing. We get Constitution modifier times per day uses, so we want to make sure we get that Constitution up. Echo Knight, transfer consciousness to the Echo. This is more of a scouting thing, not a combat thing, but very useful utility. Shadow Martyr, throw himself in front of an attack directed at another creature you can see before the attack is made. You can use your reaction to teleport the Echo. Pretty cool. This is something a little bit like the protection fighting style, but we only get it once per short rest. So useful in the right situation, probably ideally used to protect a cleric or a wizard from a debilitating attack. And it is another creature that you can see, so you cannot use this to protect yourself. So keep that in mind. Reclaim potential. When an echo of yours is destroyed by taking damage, you can gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 2d6 plus your con mod, provided you don't already have temporary hit points. Use this feature a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier. You gain all uses when you finish a long rest. So hopefully our Constitution modifier will be at least a 4 by the end of the level progression, and we'll be in good shape from there. Legion of One, you can use a bonus action, create 2 echoes with your Manifest Echo. These echoes can coexist. If you try to create a third, it fails. And you'll regain Unleash Your Incarnation when you roll Initiative if you don't have any uses left. So at Capstone, at 20th level, whenever we make an echo, we'll actually get 2 of them, which is pretty interesting. So the other thing that was not specified in the post, wrong post, here we are, that I'm going to ask right now, maybe I hear back before I finish this, but is the flanking optional rule being used? The reason we ask this is because your echo will threaten space, because you can make opportunity attacks out of it using your own reaction. So we want to make sure that if the space is being threatened by the echo, we need to know if flanking is going to matter. So let's look at the echo. Bonus action, magically manifest an echo, actually 2, of yourself within 15 feet. Magical, translucent, gray image, lasts until destroyed. Dismiss this bonus, manifest another, or incapacitated. 14 plus proficiency, 20th level, keep that in mind. 1 hit point, immunity to all conditions, saves, uses your own. Same size, occupies its space, mentally command and move 30 feet, no action. If it ever moves more than 30 feet from you at the end of your turn, it's destroyed. You can use the echo in the following ways. Bonus action, teleport, swap places, regardless of distance. When you take an attack action, any attack you make with that action can originate from yours or the echo space. When a creature that you can see within 5 feet of the echo moves at least 5 feet away from it, you can use your reaction to make opportunity attacks against that creature as if you were in the echo space. Another thing that seems to be missed a little bit, the glaive, this +3 glaive, and what sounds like Great Weapon Master and the Sentinel feat, potentially maybe Polar Master, because they say that here, Polar Master is Pam. Those will not work with the Manifest Echo opportunity attacks. It will only work for you, which, keep in mind, the Echo is same size as you, occupies its space, it looks like you, but it's not a bugbear. Does not have this reach ability that bugbears have. Additionally, you only get that ability during your own turns, not during the opponent's turns. It's not a constant thing. It's the reason that I would actually lean away from the bugbear in this, is it adds a little bit, an extra layer of complication that's not worth it, and you can do better things with it. So let's take a look at builder proficiencies. We always want to pick up athletics. That's going to give us our grapple checks. We're great at it. And let's throw the perception on there. That's going to solve a lot of our problems. Description, we're going to jump over. Sounds like we are playing maybe a one-shot. So I'm going to pick default one-shot tools. And that's going to be 2 skills, 2 tools. And we will go with, it doesn't matter terribly much. We'll go with a clan crafter. Sure, why not? Tools, I always pick up Mason's tools, especially for one-shots. Lets you notice traps, issues in stonework, things like that. The other one is really personal preference. I would pick up cook's utensils here. You can talk to your DM about this, but if you have cook's utensils, maybe you can cook a meal if you take a short rest and get an extra hit dice or something like that. Other good choices would be Poisoner's Kit to recognize poisons. And that would probably be the second best pick. You can, if you have knowledge of a poison or proficiency in the Poisoner's Kit, you can usually, depending on your DM, make a case that you would notice a weapon dipped in poison ahead of time. So maybe that lets you say, I'm going to definitely use Indomitable on this save against poison that just hit me because I realized the weapon was poison ahead of time. I would have dodged out of the way a little bit better or something like that. So we'll throw Masons and Poisoners on there, nice and easy. And 2 more skills. So we're going to be assuming this is a one-shot. Let's throw on a History proficiency. That we'll have 1 intelligence skill, halfway decent. We could throw on an investigation or an insight. Let's actually throw insight in here, and let's not do the history. Let's leave that to the brainy character, and we'll throw medicine on there. The reason we pick medicine here is we're already proficient. We already have decent wisdom score in 14. That's +2 with the proficiency of 6 at 20th level. That gives us a +8 to, at the very least, stabilize a dying ally. We won't get them up. The stabilization check is DC 10, if I remember correctly. So there's only 2. If we roll a 1, we fail a medicine check. But if we roll anything else, 2 or more, we will succeed a medicine check to at least keep someone from continuing to have to make death saving throws. Because we have the proficiency in the medicine skill, it saves us a lot of time. We will now, obviously, it's easier to have a potion and heal them, but we're playing a fighter. We don't have potions, and I think as a DM, I would probably rule that you could forego your attack action and let your echo do the medicine check if they're nearby. Of course, you can always move the echo next to your ally, use your bonus action to teleport, swapping places with it, and then you do the medicine check as well if the DM wouldn't let your echo do the medicine check. All right, awesome. Let's jump back to the class. So we got fighting style. There are some really cool ones here. We're going to go with great weapon fighting. The reason that we're picking this is we're going to assume that we're going to be tanking a lot of damage because we have the echoes. We can safely assume a little bit less armor class because attacks will go at the echoes instead of you sometimes, or instead of your allies. So instead of having to have that bulky AC that we need to be able to tank effectively as a fighter, because we don't have resistance like a barbarian does, the echoes do that. If they draw 1 or 2 attacks around to dispel them and then you make them again, that's 1 or 2 attacks that weren't going at you, that weren't hitting you. So we're going to go with fighting style because the way that it's worded combines well with the echo wording. Whenever you make an attack, you can make it from the echo space. You still make the attack. So the attack you make with a melee weapon wielding 2 hands, re-roll the damage dice. So this is going to give us so much consistency here. The other choice would be defense, to just have a +1 to AC, but I think we're going to be better served with great weapon fighting. Second wind, some healing, action surge, incredibly powerful ability. The reason people dip fighter 2, not fighter 1, is because of action surge. I mean, some people dip fighter 1 just for the fighting style. Martial archetype, going with Echo Knight. Let's throw that on there. All right, so we have all of that stuff added in. Now, all that's left is ability score improvements. Now, I'm not going to put these in the level up fashion of when you would pick which. So let's take a look at our abilities right now. So we have a 17 strength, a 9 dexterity, a 14 constitution, an 8 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and a 12 charisma. If your DM lets you point by the dexterity down to a 7 and we can push the constitution up to a 15 with those points, awesome. Because the difference in that point total is 2. Standard point buy is going from an 8 down to a 7 refunds you 2 points. So you would have constitution 15. The DM will allow you to point buy beneath 8. In which case we would absolutely do that down to a 7 so we can get that 15 con out of the gate. All right, but let's assume that's not the case. Ability score improvements. So we need to, at the very least, get 3 to our strength and at least 2 to our constitution. So we can do the strength with one of our feats. So let us open up the feats section. So that way we don't have to click on everything. And this will have all of the Unearthed Arcana stuff as well, but we're not worried about that for the time being. All right, so first out of the gate, I think one of actually our best pickups is going to be Aberrant Dragon Mark. It's going to give us a +1 to Constitution, which isn't everything that we need, but it's going to give us a first level spell once per day and a cantrip. So the cantrip that we can pick is really up to the choice. It comes from the Sorcerer spell list. The first level spell, however, we can pick a few different options. I like Absorb Elements as one of the potential choices. Now, if you don't want a damaging cantrip, you could, or your DM's not allowing Eberron content, you could pick up a Magic Initiate to pick up the Hex spell from the Sorcerer spell list. I think we're going to be better served with Aberrant Dragonmark because it gives us a bonus to one of our ability scores, where Magic Initiate does not, if we want to have spellcasting. Let's build it without spellcasting just because, though. All right, so let's take a look. We have, we're not going to be wielding Dual Wielder. Durable, it's going to be very useful for one-shot because we will be spending 20 hit dice to be able to heal ourselves over the campaign, so that's a potential choice. We're not playing a Dwarf, at least in this version. Fey Teleportation, interesting, doesn't apply to us. We're not an elf. Firearm Specialist, that's we are playing technically Critical Role content, so DM would allow it, but we're not playing Dexterity, so we're not going to be using that. Healer, if you want to be able to have some options as far as healing goes, that could be a choice. I don't think it's the best choice if we're really playing a min-max type character. Mage Slayer, Lucky are amazing picks. Mage Slayer, depending on what the DM's planning for this one-shot, I would talk to them before you pick Mage Slayer because you don't want it to be a totally useless feat. Magic Initiate, we talked about that. Martial Adept would give us a couple of these Battle Master maneuvers, a little bit more utility. Medium Armor Master, we're not worried about it. Heavy Armor Master might be one of her pickups. Let me check that. Heavy Armor Master, +1 strength and damage reduction from non-magical weapons. There are a lot of non-magical weapons at the upper end of the challenge rating. Dragons, their claws and teeth and tail are non-magical weapons. Their wing attacks are non-magical weapons. It's not a lot. It's only damage reduction of 3, but it's one of the only things that actually gives a solid number to that. And if you get hit 6 times in combat, that is 18 points of damage that has been reduced by this feat. So Heavy Armor Master might actually be one of the picks. It also gives us a +1 of strength to make that an even score. Lucky is consistently a good skill. Mobile, potentially useful, especially the dash action doesn't, we can ignore difficult terrain if we need to. Close in a distance. Polearm Master, probably very good. You need to open up Great Weapon Master. I think I scrolled past that. Yes, there we go. Definitely going to be picking that up. We are planning on wielding a two-handed weapon. Resilient could round out one of our ability saves, but we didn't put anything in odd numbers other than our strength, and we already have proficiency, so we're probably not picking that up. Savage Attacker, reroll damage dice for melee weapon attacks. You can reroll the weapon's damage dice and use either total. This might be also one of our pickups because it gives us the opportunity to do something else with what's probably going to be a D12 weapon. Sentinel, very, very powerful crowd control ability. You can keep things from escaping from you, which is going to be very helpful. They can't disengage successfully, and if they target anyone other than you, you get to hit them. Not an opportunity attack, so that would not reduce speed to 0. So Sentinel's probably going to be one of our pickups. Sharpshooter, not going to be used. Skill, probably not useful. Spell Sniper, we're not Spellcaster. Tavern Brawler, it's a trap, don't take it. Tough, could be one of our pickups. Probably very good. Weapon Master, we don't need it. We have proficiency in everything. And the rest is UA. So we have some good options here. Quite a few. Let's assume that we are going to be taking Great Weapon Master. There we go. Great Weapon Master. Let's assume that we're going to be taking... What was the other one? So we can... not durable. Close Great Weapon Master. We are taking that. When you score a critical hit or reduce an enemy to 0 hit points, you make one melee weapon attack as a bonus action. Never forget about that. The -5 +10 is what this is known for, but you do get extra attacks on crits or killing things, which is pretty useful as well. And we're not using our bonus action on turns. It's one more way that we can get extra attacks out, in addition to the Unleash Incarnation, which is going to be huge for helping us do everything. Heavy Armor Master, maybe. Lucky, maybe. Magic Initiate, let's assume not. We'll take Magic out. Mobile could be a good pick, but let's nix that for the time being. Savage Attacker, probably a good choice. Sentinel, probably a good choice. And Tough, probably a good choice. So the best ones are probably Sentinel. This is going to give you more attack potential per round. Sentinel. There we go. So we got Sentinel, Great Weapon Master. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more ability score improvements, which is awesome. All right, we're going to throw on Feat, and we're going to throw Heavy Armor Master in here. The reason being, this rounds out our abilities, our strength, if I refresh this page. now goes to 18, so we're at an even number. So now we can start throwing ability score improvements into it and make it a 20. So we throw our next ability score improvement into strength and strength. Boom and boom. And now strength is done. That is at 20. Now we could max Constitution out to 20, have 5 uses of Unleash Incarnation, 5 uses of temporary hit points. But we definitely want to get at least 4. So we're going to throw ability score improvements to Con, and then 2 more ability score improvements to Con. The last one is probably up in the air. Constitution, Constitution. So this last ability score improvement, this could be, so we added Sentinel, I believe, correct? Yes. 6th level, Sentinel, yes. So this last one is up in the air. Savage Attacker could be very, very strong for us. Lucky could be very powerful, and I think I would actually edge on Lucky over increasing our Constitution to 20. It's going to cost us 20 hit points. It's going to cost us uses of Unleash Incarnation, and the ability to gain temporary hit points from the Shadow. The ability to reroll 3 failed saves, and that's probably what you're using Lucky for. You're not using it on attacks. You have so many of them already. We're not going to be using it to prevent things from hitting us. We will most likely be using Lucky if we take it to keep from getting a nasty save effect against us. It's basically 3 more uses of Indomitable. So that could be the pick. I think Tough would be giving up 20 hit points to gain 40 hit points. So we're actually only gaining 20 hit points by taking Tough. I don't think that's worth it, because 20 hit points isn't worth the difference of losing the Unleash Incarnation and the 2d6 temporary hit points that we gain from the feat. So we'll nix Tough for now. So I think the 3 we got Heavy Armor Master. Durable, probably not it, because it makes our Constitution an odd score again. I think Durable would be the pick if we were able to buy our Dexterity down to 7, put our Constitution up to 15. We would be at 19 Constitution right now, and we would throw Durable as the last one on to round the Constitution out to 20, give us our max amount, and double con modifier on hit dice. So that means anytime that we roll hit dice during a short rest, instead of adding hit dice plus 5, we would get hit dice plus 10 to heal, which is amazing. So you would have really good healing on short rests. So Lucky or Savage Attacker, I think we're going to go with Savage Attacker. Once per turn when you roll damage for melee weapon attack, you can reroll the weapon's damage dice and use either total. The reason that I'm picking Savage Attacker here, and this also sort of depends on the DM, is if your it depends how your Dungeon Master runs critical hits. If your Dungeon Master runs critical hits let's use a Great Axe, for example, which is a D12. You roll a D12, let's say you get a 5. Does the DM have you roll a second D12, or whatever you rolled on the first one is doubled, and then modifiers are added? So if you roll a 5, and then your strength is 5, it becomes 10. All right, cool. If not, is it rolling the D12 twice, and all of your stuff applies to that? Can you reroll both of them with Savage Attacker? And that'd be something to talk to your Dungeon Master about, but I still think Savage Attacker is better in a vacuum. All right, now let's jump over to equipment, and this is going to be the really meat of everything. So out of the gate, let's get armor, plate. Let's add plate armor for now. We're not going to be wearing a shield because we're going to use two-weapon fighting. Or not two-weapon, two-handed weapon fighting. All right, so untick common. I don't know why it's showing arm blade. That's from Wildmount, and I have not Wildmount, Eberron. Do I have Eberron unticked? I don't. Let's untick Eberron. There we go. Common, perfect. All right, that's what I needed. Magical items, proficient. So one of the things that the person talked about is the belt of giant strength, and I think that is definitely one of the very, very powerful picks. So bookmarks bar, I believe it's in this, sane magical item prices. So we're going to consult to this because we are strictly min-maxing this character as to what the most powerful items may be that we could take a look at. And I invite all Dungeon Masters to take a look through this before awarding items in games to have an idea of how actually powerful this item is instead of paying attention to the rarity. So there's this nice section here, items that won't be priced. Candles, Deck of Many, Iron Flask, Ring of Wishes because wishes, Luck Blade because wishes, Well of Many Worlds, obviously, Bag of Tricks, Belts of Giant Strength, breaks bounded accuracy, and that's exactly right. It is so insanely powerful to break that bounded accuracy system that we are going to choose one of these Belts of Giant Strength. So let's go with Belt of... All right. Stone, Fire Giant Strength, I think is 25. Yes. Stone is 23, and Frost is 23. And if we take a look at this, we have one rare, one very rare, and one legendary. So we could pick up Hill Giant's only rare. We don't want that. That only makes it a 21. We could pick up Belts of Fire Giant Strength as a very rare, and then we would still have a rare and a legendary to have as options. And that would let us pick a legendary weapon as our legendary item as opposed to pushing our strength the rest of the way up. Belt of Fire Giant Strength will significantly break bounded accuracy already. It's the difference of +7 to +9 because Storm Giant Strength is 29. So that the trick for figuring out, subtract 10 from the score, cut it in half, round down. So subtract 10 from 29, you have 19, cut in half, you have 9.5, so it's 9. So your modifier is 9 for Belts of Storm Giant Strength. Belt of Fire Giant Strength, it's difference of +3, is 25 reduced to 15, made 12.15, cut in half. That's going to be 7.5. Oh, no, I was right. It's 2. So 7 and 9. Not a huge difference. And with the amount of attacks we're going to be getting crits as well. I think the Fire Giant Strength is actually a better choice than the Storm Giant because it's not costing the legendary pick. Because we have this choice, this is probably the best pickup. Now, let's jump back to the class real quick. Because we're building 20th level, and we now know what our strength is going to be, we don't need that ability score improvement that went to strength to go to strength anymore. So let's adjust this to Constitution. Now our Constitution is 20. Abilities, 20. And our strength is just fixed to 25, which is awesome. Now if we refresh this a little bit, there we go. Now the other thing that we can take stock of, if we want to, we can reduce the strength back down to 8 because it's going to be 25 no matter what. So that means we can get this charisma up to 14, make sure we're not going to fail that save, pump this con up, save us a point, give us that durable feat. Dex, let's push that up to a 9 so that, or let's put it an 11. So, or maybe a 12. Let's put it to the 9 so we have 3 points left to play around with. We could kick either of those up. Intelligence, we can put that up to 10. We have 1 point left over, might as well throw it there. Because we're planning this Belt of Strength. So now we have 25, 10, 20, 10, 14, 14. Pretty good scores across the board. And we have no negatives anymore, which is fantastic. You could dump the intelligence if you want and have the dexterity up to 11, which makes it a 12, which might be the better pick. So that way you have +1 to dex saving throws. Maybe that's the better thing, and just assuming you're a big dumb brute. So, class. We now want to think about, do we want to keep Heavy Armor Master? Because the only thing we're getting out of this at this point is the damage reduction. I think we probably still keep it because it's going to help us stay alive. It's going to help us from having to spend our bonus action on Second Wind or chugging potions and things like that. All right, same magical items. All right, let us take a look at combat. Game-changing items. We'll take a look right here. These are, game-changing. Here we go. So these are insanely powerful items that are something to keep in mind when awarding to players. Staff of Power, Talisman of the Sphere, +3 shields, things like that. +3 armor is legendary armor. So it's things to keep in mind. Notably, there is a lack of main weapons on here. Things like the Broom of Flying are on here, but there aren't really legendary weapons here. So let us actually jump to our character builder. Description, equipment, Add items. Actually, we might be able to filter this better. Magic items. Weapon. There we go. Legendary. Show advanced. Source. Basic rules. Player's handbook. Dungeon Master's Guide. Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. It's Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Alright, we have Legendary, Weapon, and Source Book set. Alright, we have some awesome choices here. Blackrazor, not a two-handed weapon, so we don't want it. Actually, that's a Greatsword. So we could choose Blackrazor. It gets a haste spell once per day. It's sentient. It's a +3 longsword. And you just have to be non-lawful alignment. So really cool. We get to use Great Weapon Master with something like this. We get haste on ourselves once per day. Can't be charmed or frightened. Presence of a tiny or larger creatures within 60 feet of you that aren't constructs or dead. You also can't be charmed or frightened. Amazing. Now you don't have to worry about those saves ever. They can't heal themselves. If you reduce a creature to 0, it devours the soul. It's a really cool weapon there. Can't use a longsword. I mean, it's technically any sword, but the defender, we don't really want to give up that benefit. Holy Avenger, we're not a paladin. Luck Blade, we could take it. It's Wishes, probably the best choice, but Greatsword or Luck Blade, it's only a +1 to attack rolls and damage rolls, probably not it. Moonblade, this might be one of the most powerful things, and this is something you'd have to talk to your DM about because the randomness in this. You're also not an elf, but if you were an elf, this is something you should talk to them. The Vorpal Sword could be huge. We have +3 to attack and damage. Natural 20, you cut lop off one of the creature's heads. If the creature dies, if it can't survive without a lost head. So this is a potentially instant kill on some things, which might be huge. Now we have Whelm and Wave. Whelm is a Warhammer. Wave is a Trident. So neither of those are items that are the most notable because we can't use Great Weapon Master with them. So let's clear the source books real quick and make sure we didn't miss anything. Filter magic items. So Dawnbringer, Out of the Abyss, Great Silver, Hammer of Thunderbolts. What is this? Oh, it's from the basic rules. It wasn't showing. Interesting. +1 to attack and damage rolls. Giant's Bane. So this requires Gauntlets of Ogre Power and a Belt of Giant Strength. We don't want to spend one of our attunements on Gauntlets of Ogre Power. So we're going to give up the Hammer of Thunderbolts. We could go with can't pick Iron Fang because it's not a Great Weapon Master fighting. Ruin Blade is a great sword. Don't have that content on D&D Beyond. Then we have Whelm, Wave, Wind. I knew there was another one. Wind Vein and Withe. So against the Giants, there's some really cool items in here. Let's throw in Rare and see what we get. So now we have much more of the common items that we're used to. Flame Tongue might actually be one of the best ones because we have so many attacks. It's a bonus 2d6 on all of them, which is a huge boost to damage. Now, +3 is technically better, but when we crit and we have 4 attacks around, potentially more attacks with Action Surge or Unleash Incarnation, every time we use Unleash Incarnation, that's a 5th attack around. That's more chances to get a critical hit. And Flame Tongue is better when you crit than the +3 weapons, which are much higher rarity as well. So we still the same thing. Gert's Great Axe, things like that. Mind Lash, Mind Blade, can't choose that. Metalox of Warhammer, unfortunately. Mace of Smiting, Mace. Sunblade, awesome choice. Vicious weapons, we could take a Vicious Greatsword or something like that. Let us sort by, I believe we can do, has charges? No. Weapon type, Greatsword, Great Axe, Greatsword, Maul, Glaive, Halberd. What's the other one? Let's filter on them. All right, so Berserker Axe, Blackrazor. I think let's go with Blackrazor. That's a haste spell per day. That's If you hit an undead, you take 1d10 damage. They regain 1d10. So unless you're playing against undead, this is probably good. It's a +3 weapon on top of it. Blackrazor is going to be amazingly powerful. I think Flame Tug is also one of the good picks, so we'll open those two up. Let's take a look at our other options, though. So we need a rare or uncommon of something else to round out. Or sorry, a rare or legendary of something else to round out this whole thing. So let's go back to same magical items. All right. Game-changing items. The ones that I would think immediately as very good potential is an Armor of Invulnerability, a +3 set of armor, something that gives a wish. Dwarven Plate is very rare. We have our Belt of Strength chosen there. Wings of Flying. Let's take a look at Wings of Flying real quick. Attunement, rare item. While wearing the cloak, speak command word, bat wings, or bird wings on your back for an hour. Command word for an action. Flying speed of 60 feet. When they disappear, you can't use them again for 1d12 hours. So this might actually be one of our pickups. The Wings of Flying is incredibly powerful in the sense that that fly speed is nothing to scoff at. We're not going to be falling off of it like a broom of flying. We have decent flying speed. It lasts for an hour. It's non-concentration. And the thing that the fighter is going to be the struggle at is the one encounter where things are out of their reach. This gives you a speed of 60 feet. Even if it's not a flying encounter, if they can kite you by staying out of your range, this is going to double your effective speed every turn without having to take a mobile feat. So let's throw that on there. And that gives us a legendary choice for our weapon. So weapon, nix the commons. Other good choices could be a Weapon of Warning. That's very powerful. All right. We cannot pick artifacts, unfortunately. If you could, I think Grovel Thrash. So you can't. Grovel Thrash isn't great Weapon Master. There's another one that is. I can't remember it off the top of my head. All right. So legendary weapons: Vorpal Scimitar, Vorpal Greatsword. There it is. Might be one of the huge picks. It's 2d6. Fantastic on a crit. We're going to be good on crits anyway, so I don't think that's the pick. I think we're going to go with Blackrazor. There we go. It's a named weapon, but it's not an artifact, which is pretty cool. Despite its nihilism, Blackrazor feels kinship to Wave and Whelm, two other weapons locked away in White Plume Mountain. So you could talk to the other players in your game and your one-shot, see if they're going to be running these melee characters. Let's take a look at Wave and Whelm real quick. Wave or Whelm could be really cool weapons for a cleric and a paladin to wield. Then you would have a cleric, paladin, and a fighter. 3, or maybe a barbarian that's carrying a shield, or anything else. There's so many cool things that you can play around with by having this sort of named weapon in your arsenal. All right, so let's throw on Blackrazor, inventory, Blackrazor wield, and Wings of Flying wield. And then we need add them to attunement. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Belt of Fire Giant Strength, Wings of Flying, and Blackrazor. That's going to give us a haste spell once per day, which is amazingly powerful for a fighter. And I believe that is everything that we need. We've adjusted that. Our abilities. We can adjust one of these Constitution modifier bonuses, if I remember correctly, to durable, because we increased our con. Durable, +1 con, yeah. And then abilities, we should still have 20 Constitution. Yes, we do. So because we have the durable, and that's going to give us double Constitution modifier on hit dice, which is fantastic. All right, let's double check everything. So the feats that we picked were Great Weapon Master, to -5 penalty to attack, +10 to hit. We have a +3 weapon on top of the +7 strength and our proficiency, which is 6. So we have +16 to hit right now, which is insanely powerful. And I'd rather have the +3 weapon from the legendary weapon than the +9 from the thing and give up a very powerful weapon because of it. It's much better to just have the very powerful weapon that's going to do other stuff for us than just the huge strength bonus. I think the very rare is the right choice for the belt. Ability score improvement, we have Sentinel, so we have lots of attacks. Ability score improvement, Heavy Armor Master. Strength score bonus doesn't matter that much, but we have that automatic reduction of 3 damage to all non-magical attacks hitting us, like Dragon Claws, like the not the Beholder, the Kraken's tentacles squeezing us, or the Tarrasque biting us. They're all non-magical damage, so we get to reduce all of that. Now, there's still a lot of damage, but it helps. We have con improvement, durable, so that's basically +5 to con between 2+2 bonuses and the +1 from durable, so that's awesome. And then we have Savage Attacker. We are wielding a 2d6 weapon, so that gives us a reroll of that damage once per turn anyway, which is really nice. We're going to have very consistent damage. It's the other reason that we picked the 2d6 weapon over a Great Axe or something. There's also not that many magical Great Axes, as opposed to Greatswords. All right, let's take a look at this character real quick. I'm excited. So, Blackrazor, +16 to hit. We don't need unarmed strike. We're never attacking unarmed. That's dumb. Blackrazor, +16 to hit. Heavy Armor Master, or a Great Weapon Master, so we can make that as a -5 for 2d6 +20 damage. Insanely powerful. Very cool weapon. We have +7 to our strength, our proficiency +6, +13 strength saves. We're never being knocked prone. +11 constitution saves. We're very good against poison. Dex, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. They're fine. Heavy armor, light armor, medium, normal stuff. Masons, poisoners. Disadvantage on stealth. Advantage while wielding and granted temporary hit points from Blackrazor, and disadvantage because of plate armor. So it sort of balances out a little bit, and we get to have, as long as we can keep a temporary hit point from Blackrazor, nice little side benefit of that legendary weapon as opposed to a very rare weapon. Fantastic. 224 hit points because of our 20 constitution on top of the D10 build from the fighter. Now, let's take a quick look. Let's edit this real quick and drop the Bugbear class, the Bugbear race out of here. The reason we're dropping the Bugbear is it's giving us +2 and a +1 that we don't need that much. We don't need benefits to that because we're having this Belt of Strength. We don't need any of that stuff. I'm going to recommend we go down to the Yuan-Ti Pureblood. +2 to Charisma and Intelligence. Sounds bad, right? Actually, not so much. We also have immunity to poison damage. We get a cantrips, some spells, don't matter. Magic resistance. You have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Pretty cool. The poison immunity, immune to poison damage, and the poison condition. So total immunity to the damage, not going to be dispelled from us. We don't need the Hero's Feast. We just got it. The other choice, if it's being allowed, is potentially the Satyr. You're a Fae rather than a humanoid, so you don't get affected by things that affect humanoids, so that's pretty nice. You get an unarmed attack in the head with the horns, which is D4 plus strength, which is going to be 25. We have magic resistance, advantage on saving throws against spells, and other magical effects. Those abilities are the main reasons that we're considering these two choices, and I think we're actually going to pick the Satyr because our walking speed, if I remember correctly, is 35 feet. Change race, reveler, musical instrument, there we go, it doesn't matter. And now if we take a look at the Satyr, our walking speed's increased by 5 feet, which is nice because even when we're not using our flying cloak, now we can close on enemies faster than they can get away from us. If they're dashing and we're dashing, or if we're both moving our regular speed, we can consistently close on them every time and try to move around. There's lots of other choices because we don't have to worry about this benefit to this whatever the racial bonus is. There's so many good options here. Obviously, you can't pick the Arakakra because we wouldn't be able to fly. The Furbog is going to give us some spell casting. The Gith might be useful. Goliath, potentially good. Half-Orc Endurance, the Relentless Endurance to not be killed outright, could be huge for us. Savage Attackers, when you score a critical hit, you can reroll 1 because we have a 2d6 weapon. You get to reroll 1 of the d6s. Or 1 additional d6 on crits. Still pretty good. Hobgoblin Saving Face. This benefit to saves could be huge. bonus equals the number of allies nearby. Maximum bonus +5. Pretty neat, depending on the party size. Turtle could be a pick. If we don't want to worry about armor, we can just drop it entirely. Lockstone could be a good pickup. It's going to give us +2 con. That's going to give us a feat back. We have advantage on saving throws against being charmed frightened. We have natural armor equal to 12 plus con, and we can use that to determine our armor class. So we could drop plate armor at that point if we wanted to. Not even worry about it. Have 17 armor, and we don't even use the dexterity bonus at all, other than saves. So we could go with this. It's more niche. It's not something that's huge. There's so many good options. Goblin could be one of our best picks here. Because of the dexterity score bonus, it's going to help us with those dex saves. But we also have Fury of the Small. And I think this is the reason we might want to pick it depending on how many encounters we're going to have. It's short rest use, though. There's so many good options for the race, especially when we're not worried about what these bonuses are going to. You can pick really any of these. Vidalkin could be a great pick if your DM's allowing that. If we're planning on taking this belt, I think the best pick of all of them is going to be a Scourge Aasimar. This, I think, is going to be the hands down best pick. Ability score increase Charisma by 2, and then it's another one, Constitution by 1. So let's make some adjustments right here. Class abilities, Charisma by 2, that puts it to 16. Con by 1, we can drop that down to a 14. Now, if we refresh this page real quick, our Constitution is still going to be 20, and that's point somewhere else. So let's put the Dexterity up to 12. Charisma is going to automatically have +2, so we can drop it down to 12. And then Wisdom, we can put up to 15 if we want, and then still have points for this. I think we're going to leave the Wisdom at 14, so they both become 14s. And actually, can we do this right here? We can get the dexterity up to 14. Intelligence to 9, we'll say. There we go. Oh, wait, we don't need that there. Intelligence to 10. Perfect. There we go. Now we have no negative ability scores because we have this Scourge Aasimar +2 Charisma, so that way it's not getting washed out by our magic item, and +1 to Con. All right. And then finally, the reason that we go with this is we have the Light Cantrip, we have Dark Vision, we have Resistance to Radiant and Necrotic Damage, much better than the Stealth skill that we were getting from the Bugbear anyway. Healing Hands, temporary regain hit points equal to your level, so once per long rest, we get to just heal 20. Ourselves or anyone else. Light Bearer, we get a Cantrip, Charisma don't matter. Ability score improvement, and Radiant Consumption. 3rd level, you can use your action, and then you can action surge if you so choose, to unleash divine energy within yourself, causing a searing light to radiate from you, pour from your eyes and mouth, and threaten to char you. Transformation lasts for 1 minute until you end it as a bonus action. During it, you shed light 10-foot radius, dim foot another 10 feet. End of each of your turns, you and each creature within 10 feet of you take radiant damage equal to half your level, rounded up. Keep in mind you have resistance to radiant, so you basically take half of that. In addition, once on each of your turns, you can deal extra radiant damage to one target when you deal damage with an attack or spell. The extra radiant damage equals your level. So that means once per turn we get +20 to damage on one of our attacks once we trigger this. And everything within 10 feet of us, including ourselves, take 20 points of radiant damage a turn, which we reduce, half your level, 10 points of radiant damage per turn, which we reduce to 5 because of our resistance. This is going to be so much more AoE damage than the Bugbear is going to be able to do with the reach and the threatening things. Couple this with our ability to duplicate our position with our Echo, as long as we just can't have them within 10 feet of us because we'll destroy our own Echo. We can then move and teleport where the radiant consumption is affecting the battlefield out of nowhere. This is going to be so much more powerful than the Bugbear. Because the Bugbear's reach doesn't matter for our echoes. All of the echoes make attacks against something within 5 feet of them, and their opportunity attacks are within 5 feet of them, so reach doesn't matter. And the Bugbear their extra reach only works during their own turns. This is going to be more battlefield control. You are a walking force of destruction on that battlefield that has a fly speed of 60 feet, which is insanely powerful. So take a look through. I hope this has been helpful for you. drogaswaves. Once I get the video uploaded, I'll throw a link on the Reddit thread. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope anyone else who has taken the time to enjoy this build, let me know in the description of the video if you enjoy it, if you disagree with any of my choices. I'd love to hear the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the content. I love doing these 3d6 Reddit builds. I hope to do more of them in the future. I have another video going up soon as well. See you next time.